Hello, that's Sergey Babish and Wonder World of Web Development. And yes, you got me right. Today's episode is completely in English. So, what would we have today? Today, it will be the Senior Frontend Engineer interview. And this would be with a bit of a twist because previously I never got any legend, any position or vacancy for our interviews, and today I decided to make this a bit more spicy, and my guest still don't know about it, but now I'll unveil this secret. So today's interview for Senior Frontend Developer position would be for imaginary project which now is in the middle of refactoring, of changing technology from some old technology to some new technology. And this imaginary project seek for a new developer who is up to the task, who can take it and do stuff from the beginning. And my guest today is well known to you. He is the reason why I'm coined the phrase the middle. No fucking way are you a middle. So please greet here Олексій Горбунов. Hi Олексій.
Hello, Sergey. Hello, guys from YouTube. So I am Oleksiy. I am software engineer in Levanyan in Backbase FinTech project, working on configurable interfaces for finance systems. And it looks like now I will be interviewed for senior front-end engineer position. It's like new mountain I'm going to hike. So looks like a good journey, and let's get started. So Sergey, floor is yours.
Yeah, great. So before we actually begin, I'll again want to ask you, every one of you who is watching this stream, please copy the link to this stream and paste it to any chat you can imagine you. So would it be a Viber? Would it be a school chat? Would it be a working chat? Would it be, I don't know, Facebook or something else? Please put this link in any conversation you can think about right now. So the more people would watch it, the merrier. And we will start right now.
And click on the like button.
Yeah, great. So as I mentioned at the beginning, so we have a kind of legend here. So we have a project which in the midst of a migration from some old technology to a new technology. And they're looking for specialists who can do this perfectly, who is up to the task. So they're looking for someone who can pick this project in the middle and drag it to the end. And unfortunately, in our legend, you applied for this position.
Okay.
And you got the interview. So are you ready?
Yes, sure. Let's start. Let's try to refactor this project.
Great. Okay, so audience is complaining about your sound level. Guys, it's maximum. Probably Oleksiy can speak a bit louder himself, but we checked it, it's okay.
Try. Okay. Looks like it's maximum.
Much better. It's much better. Okay, so nice. we are ready. And my first question would be quite simple and quite straightforward. So, in a let's start from a very general approach, and please describe me, how would you approach the process of rewriting the legacy code in the modern framework, just in general?
Okay, good question. First of all, we have to understand in which stage project is. This project is in production, or it's just old project we have to refactor, and it will be new project because it's different process. So can we do breaking changes? Can we do, for example, and we have to consider that we will have, for example, new bugs, and we will have a lot of stuff to test. Yes.
Okay, let's say this is a production project, so we can't like just do everything from scratch.
Okay, it's a production project. I think we need to have, for example, another repository with new project, and we will migrate from old technologies to new. So first of all, we have to stop processes. It's CI/CD, it's configs, etc., etc., etc. Like linter, prettier, how we are going to deal with it, and also we have to decide technology we will use, for example, for new for this new project, for this new repository.
And let me clarify a bit. So this project is already in the process of rewriting. So everything has been decided.
Yeah.
So we have technology, we have like old technology, and we have migration to the new technology. And like to upset you more, let's say that we don't have a new repository. So we work in the same repository, and we trying to change this application, this project, piece by piece.
But actually, so we have release branches in this repository. For refactoring, we have to set up a new branch or set of new branches and looks like these branches are already there, and we are working like feature by feature, moving a project from old technologies to new. Yes.
Yeah. So the question stays the same. So in these circumstances, so what is your approach for this refactoring, this rewriting? How would you approach like having part of application implemented with the old technology, and you need to migrate it to the new technology? In the same time as you need to like ship the project itself, and it should work.
Yes, I will divide project by features. Look like obviously it's already divided by business features, for example, in Confluence, in READMEs, and other documents, etc. And by this feature, I will create tickets, divide them by developers, and developers will move block by block these features to new technologies and build new application, something like that. And also we have to consider also API. Maybe so API could also change or not. So maybe we somehow have to regenerate like API client and map objects in another way. So feature by feature, we will do that. As it's how I can see it.
Great. Sorry, I'm trying to catch this obnoxious flight. Okay, so what criteria, how would you decide which parts of code should be retained so that you wouldn't touch, and which should be definitely rewritten from scratch?
which should be definitely rewritten from scratch. First of all, if it's a completely new framework, obviously different wrappers, different providers, different shared data storages obviously should be rewritten from the scratch. Yes, business logic should be the same inside, but as far as I understand, so we can't just paste Angular in React and React in Angular. So these components should be rewritten at all from the scratch.
Okay, so
yes.
let's add one more clarification, and I will do that not once during this stream. So let's say that we are rewriting our application, our product, from React 16 to React 19.
Oh, React 16 to React 19. Cool. Cool. So it's better than from React to Angular, obviously. As for me, but actually, lifecycle hooks should be rewritten. Also, different wrappers of the components should be rewritten. If I'm not mistaken, with classes, they worked differently. Also, if we're talking about data and data providers, they also should be rewritten. For example, in old version, they used old Redux. Obviously, with new, for example, Redux toolkit or something new like 10-stack query or MobX or Zustand, another thing that should be rewritten. What we can move without like deep refactoring, it's layout actually. Layout with styles. For example, we had style. We had CSS and JSX. JSX and CSS will remain almost the same, but we have to like put it in a render block and apply in a correct way all styles.
Thank you. And the next question, so let's say you are working on this rewriting, and at some point, as you mentioned before, you face the problem that you need to like replace some third-party library or even integrate a new one to cover the requirements. So how would you organize such integration of these actually new technologies into the projects to minimize risks and avoid breaking current functionality?
Okay. So first of all, I think should be an investigation. This investigation should be maybe between all developers and team, like Spike, for example, and we will investigate like new libraries, similar libraries to the old one, similar libraries, what they offer, which API they have, maybe about what we should think apply in a specific library, and for example create a Confluence page, README file, or something like that, like comparison table or comparison board in Miro, etc. And based on that, decide what to do. Moreover, if a specific set of APIs was exposed to clients from the old library, we have two options. First option is deprecate all the APIs and all the APIs, but for example maintain them for like 6 months or a year, or what about policy in company? Or about how we can create like mappers for the same APIs to the new library, something like that. So deprecate deprecate and then introduce new, or create mapper to existing API, and communicate also with clients about it, and can consider such things like bandwidth, integration with React, integration, maintaining of this new library, so to avoid the same situation as with old library, looks like it's obsolete and we can't use it more because it's no future updates, and we have to migrate, and it's a painful process. We have to avoid it in the future. That would be my approach.
Nice. And what about the second part of this question about avoiding breaking current functionality?
Avoiding breaking current functionality. Here, as I mentioned, so we are deprecating old library, but this library remains in project, and we are including new. And for example, new like part of API of new library will cover our functionality, and part will be covered by old and then replaced, or like all the API will be using patterns. For example, we can use adapter pattern and somehow adapt all the API to new if it's
Okay,
only
but
single
how do you ensure that this functionality wouldn't break?
Hopefully we had tests or not.
Go on.
Yes, if we had tests before on the project, we have to ensure that all they are green, and also ask QA to make a regression for this part of like interface part of functionality, obviously. And if no tests, that's kind of bad situation. It's kind of bad situation, and maybe better way to deprecate it and then replace it with new API, fully covered with tests. Fully covered with unit tests, and maybe critical moments we can cover with end-to-end tests.
Okay, and if there are no tests, how would you ensure that new functionality works the same as old? Because let's say clients, users are completely happy with how product works now, but you're going to introduce some, let's say, breaking changes, because you'll replace some libraries, or like introduce new, and for user it doesn't matter what are you doing under the hood. So if there are no tests, what would you like? What would be your approach with creating this test? What would you test? When would you do test?
Oh, that's interesting question. But actually, I will. For example, what we can do, we can we can deprecate like old functionality and ship new application, and say to users, ask part of them, a specific percent of users, to test new application, and looks like it will be an approach, maybe, but that's for later. Initially, maybe it's better to review the whole Jira if it's possible, and try to collect all things about old API, if it's possible, or for example from Confluence.
Okay, and what do you mean by API?
I mean, for example, a specific functionality which works, works fine now, and which is exposed to the user, and users are aware of this feature and using it in their daily life or their tasks on our service.
Okay. I got your approach. Let's move further. Okay, and so you're in the process of the writing. You refactoring some parts of the application. How do you make sure that the system can scale in the future so it stay easy to maintain and can be flexible enough for changes that can be introduced later?
Obviously, if we are rewriting project, we won't commit the same mistakes as in old projects. So we will review what we have, and new models will be, at least from the first time, more cleaner, more organized, more. We will think about them before writing, because obviously, if it's an old system, different models of this old system were written in a rush 6 years ago, and now we have to solve it. Yes. That's first, and apply new practices, related to performance, new practices related to serving assets, new practices related to serving CSS. For example, remove different libraries, helper libraries. For example, like Lodash, and instead of Lodash, just use native JavaScript in some cases. So optimize app for current standards. Use date.ns instead of moment, at least.
Okay, so you're talking about the performance of code. And my actual question was about scalability, maintainability, flexibility of the system, disregarding the code. How would you approach that? Not the code you are writing, but the system you are creating is more open for changes, more flexible for changes than current implementation.
Maybe I will change a structure of new project. For example, apply feature slice design. Apply, for example, approach with monorepository and different mini apps. So it depends on how huge is application, or how many developers are working on the same application concurrently. So first of all, it's maybe if it was just old monolith application, yes, it works to restructure it, apply new architecture. It's like, or for me, maybe it's or feature slice design, or monorepository with different libraries as mini applications. Also to that, apply new features from like npm, yarn workspaces, or nx probably, or nx probably, to build like not mini, just built an infrastructure over my application. And this infrastructure will handle deployment, will handle checks, test checks, prettier linter, obviously, end-to-end tests, unit tests, maybe some security scans, and For example, automate different work if we are shipping, for example, packages. Create like new NX executor or Yarn workspace executor, if I'm not mistaken, to, for example, on a specific action in GitHub Actions or GitLab Actions, auto bump versions, deploy it, ship to NPM, or like build an application and serve it somewhere. Like build better infrastructure, and we can scale in more quicker way. We can a lot of like routine tasks will be automated, and a lot of and we will have a lot of checks, and not working code won't be on dev, on staging, and main. And we will have maybe even we can even save companies money, for example, using some monorepo tools, because, for example, we are changing only part of the application, and only for this part of application tests will run, not for entire application, and the time on pipelines will be slightly better.
I got it. Thank you. Sorry, I'm still trying to hunt down this file. Okay, next question is a bit more practical. Let's move from these very abstract things. So, how would you approach, let's say, the situation? How would you and your team and you as organizer would approach and organize work on the feature, not on the project, on the feature? And what stages would you define, and how would you monitor progress?
Okay, so first of all, we have to stop a meeting with client and clarify all details about feature. So, for example, what client wants to see, what's client's goal, first of all, yes, and requirements for this goal, actually, yes. Maybe set up set of sessions or a set of sessions where we will clarify it and obviously document it in Confluence, in different pages, in Jira, etc., etc., etc. Once requirements will be collected, maybe we have to prepare mockups, design mockups. Our designer will create like Figma scenarios or sketch scenarios, or just designs how it will be, for example, for desktop, for tablet, for mobile, yes. And we will present it to client and clarify with him, is it what he or she wants to see, yes. And when this feature will be totally clarified, we will have described business goal of this feature, technical goal, some additional requirements, etc., etc., etc. We will start. We will go to the implementation, yes. And here we will start, for example, from decomposing our big feature to like mini slices. Mini slices for developers. For example, we can start with layout, and different states like error, empty, and etc. We will start from the states for different components in this feature, for different layout in this feature, etc. Or, for example, like create a table, something like that. And developers in parallel will work on it, and then we will include one by one logic related to the backend side, obviously. Generate client based on YAML specification, apply it on frontend, and include two different parts of this feature, so our interface won't be dumb. It will be like a really live interface, and then obviously we will write a unit and integration and end-to-end tests for this feature, and demonstrate it to the client, something like that.
Okay, great. So you'll cover feature with tests after implementation or before?
Depends on approach. So for example, but actually I will do that after, because for example, if it's a new product, this product are kind of volatile, and requirements could change, and client can come to us and say, okay guys, please do these things differently and do these things differently. So for example, from the starting point, this part of product is not stable, and maybe spending time writing tests on it doesn't worth time, but actually we have to do it after product will become at least stable as minimum. As it's possible, we will cover it with tests.
Great. So I have one like extra question on this topic, because it's kind of not very technical, but it's kind of interesting to me. So we will get to the feature ownership a bit later, but for now, let's imagine that you are a feature owner and you need to allocate resources. Let's say you have a team of one fellow senior, two middles, and one junior. How would you allocate tasks between them?
You mean by complexity or by?
That's what I want to know.
Yes. So for example, I'm a team lead and I will distribute tasks. But okay. So maybe if we are talking about like general structure, general skeleton of this huge feature, these tasks will be on seniors to create this skeleton, and on this skeleton we will fill the skeleton with another mini features for middle developers, and for juniors it will be layout plus API integration. API integration maybe more on middles, something like that, and code review practices, of course. Every single task, every single feature, component, card will go through code review, and every single developer, even junior, will review senior will review juniors. That's mandatory, and this process will be.
Okay, and can you please expand on your approach to code review? What is your key metrics? What is your ultimate goal of code review? What do you like to achieve with that?
Okay, for me, it's three goals. So first of all, it's maybe define some human errors from the start on code review. Then for me, it's learning purposes. Learning purposes, I really like to see like new approaches from my colleagues, and my colleagues are suggesting for me something better and better. And third, maybe I identify some another issues. So, for example, if I am reviewing the code, I am cloning the branch and obviously run it on my local machine on localhost. This feature and opening Jira task with design, with another stuff, and clicking on what person has done. Yes. And reviewing code, for example, if a person forgot like ITIN and key or etc., it's the goal of code review to fix that, and also fix maybe things with performance. Maybe a person can forgot about or just past error in console, etc., and this obviously should be fixed. This obviously should be fixed, and we are learning from each other in code review, and also delivering better code, and better code comes to QAs. And for example, QA will not return code to us with a comment, okay, margin 5 pixels, please fix.
Okay, great. Thank you for your answer for that question. So traditionally, that's end of the block of the questions. We have another block of the questions ahead of us. And traditionally, at this point, I'll ask the audience to like hit that like button if you haven't done this already, and please, if you are not subscribed, truly consider your goals in your life, because if you're not subscribed to this channel, I don't know what do you want to achieve professionally, because my channel is the best source of most unhinged knowledge about front-end. So right now, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and also I remind you, take the link to this stream and send it everywhere. You're still not late, and let know each of your friends, relatives, acquaintances about this stream, so they would watch it together with you. The more the merrier, so please do that. Okay, so, and while you are doing that, while you're subscribing, while you're liking this video, we will move further. And the next section is more about like your teamwork. And the first thing I would like to know, can you actually describe me, from your experience, a situation where you had to take an ownership of a feature and organize your team or like your colleagues around it? So what challenges did you face and how did you resolve them?
Okay, maybe it was not in my team, but not in my team, but when in start of this year I was attached to another Spanish team which joined to our company, and so this team joined our company, and we had to create MVPs for a couple of services, and I was attached there to help them to get acquainted with processes inside big company, to give them knowledge and provide maybe ability to work independently and maybe help them to set up a project, set up their first because of NDA, part of products. I can say that. I can say more, but yes. And so it was a pretty successful experiment. And there maybe was my experience how to manage people a bit, how to describe processes to them, how to organize them on different processes. So show how it works and make them work independently and ship features with me, ship features together, something like that.
Okay, so what was the most challenging part of that?
Maybe challenging part was the mini house from the start. Mini house from the start because we actually we knew what we have to do, but all was not so clear. Clarified all moments related to all tickets, related to backend integration, related to client generation, related to environments, etc., and started working. So it was a lot of discussions to clarify different moments, mini moments, but these moments a bit blocked our work, something like that. And the puzzle was completed, and we started to ship.
Okay. So what was your responsibilities as a feature owner?
Responsibility of a feature owner. Obviously know how this feature works, documenting this stuff, a ability to onboard new people to this feature, to this service, and obviously maintenance, improvements, etc. Something like that. And questions from management about this feature, and for example, if it's possible to extend it something like that or something like that, or can we do specific thing or another?
I got it. So have you communicate with other teams? Have you established the communication as between different teams? What was your responsibility as a feature owner? Were you the contact point, or you were just the guy who is responsible if someone fails?
Maybe not just a guy, but just a guy who has to set up processes and make them work partially. I would say that. But if we are talking about communication between teams, between teams, it's my daily life because we have two teams working on the same big repository, and also we have a lot of integration inside our application between another teams, and we are using modules, some widgets from them, and we have to communicate, have to have to communicate to consume updates, for example, to consume some new features, to consume new approaches from them and apply it in our application, and not have broken application or broken models. Update dependencies.
Got it. Thank you. So the next question, let's get back to the context of our imaginary position, our imaginary project.
Yeah.
I'll remind you that this imaginary project is in the middle of non-imaginary rewriting and has its own problems. And the question is, how would you approach the communication with the stakeholders about the progress on work on this project, in this rewriting, big rewriting, and in particular, how would you communicate about the risks of rewriting large parts of this system?
First of all, about risk of rewriting. Obviously, we will, if we have obsolete project, we have huge parts, and before rewriting, I will have a session. We'll have a session, and we will plan what to rewrite next. So maybe different models. I saw this in my practice. So maybe different models will stay the same old for years, but we have to rewrite as much as possible. So, for example, if we have a big feature which earns money for us, and this, for example, key feature, rewriting of this feature will be expensive, will take a lot of time, take a lot of time to test, to rewrite, to ensure that all is okay. Maybe we will need different groups of people to test, like real customers, or etc. Obviously, I will communicate about this risk. So it's not about, okay, guys, we will rewrite it. No worries. And related to progress, that's a good question. I need to clarify. For example, during the refactoring, we are applying new design, or design is the same, or design, for example, is changing, or API is changing. For example, it depends on it. It's different ways to present it.
Okay. I'm looking at the timer. That's great. And the next question is about, I would like to know about your technical decision making. So, describe me, please, how do you usually make an important technical decision in your team? And what I want to know in particular, if there were a time when you had to defend your opinion, your decision in front of the management or your team.
About technical decision, about technical decisions. Obviously, if we are going to change something, obviously we are changing something to something, or adding something. Before that, we have investigation part, and during this investigation part, a specific person, for example, or couple of persons, they are investigating the issue, how we're going to approach it, and documenting, for example, existing ways how to deal with current problem, and technical advantages, disadvantages of each approach. So we are documenting it. And obviously, after that, this document is shared with the whole team, So with product owner, with business analyst, with yes, and so all guys can comment in Confluence, and then we can have, for example, meeting. During this meeting, we can discuss with which approach we're going to move forward. We're choosing it. So maybe different opinions could be discussed. For example, against or for a specific approach. Maybe initially, guy who made an investigation haven't considered different situations or different functionality, and after that, the decision is made, and we are creating a ticket or set of tickets to migrate to new technology or apply new technology, or for example, apply it one by one in different parts of product.
Mhm. And so the second part of the question, I'll remind you. So, have you ever been challenged about your decisions?
Yeah.
Obviously. Yes, but no, but actually yes.
Yes. Looks like yes, and it was a lot of times in my life. Fortunately, I think fortunately, because it's an experience, especially in startup when we did really maybe wrong decisions, and after that it was painful. Or different approaches in current project. So we applied something, and after that, the part of code where we applied a specific technical decision, this part of code is kind of painful even to see this. But we have to analyze it. So okay. After 6 months, this part of code is really should be rewritten again, or this approach led to some circumstances like 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe make better decision, or start to improve current technical decision. For example, create a couple of tasks for technical debt to align a specific part of application with another part, maybe improve at least something to maintain it as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like that.
Thanks. So to close this topic, so more direct question, have you ever been in a situation when there were a conflict around technical decision? It doesn't necessarily need to be you as initiator. So probably you've seen it or been a part of that when two developers, or probably management and developer, didn't agree on a decision. So how to resolve such situation?
Maybe between two developers on review. Is this situation or not?
Absolutely. That's great example.
Yes, and looks like here steps to resolve this conflict is pretty simple. So first of all, people should talk, for example, in private messages, or create a meeting and present to each other their approaches and describe advantages and disadvantages. First of all, if it won't solve the conflict and two sides will vote for their approaches, a specific person, for example, as arbitrary, will be included in this dialogue. It could be, for example, a principal engineer, and he will analyze the situation and, for example, vote for one or another side. But actually, I think it's nothing offensive if your site was not approved, because it's development, and it's okay to propose approaches, and it's okay to be rejected. Yes, to have someone as arbitrary, it's good.
Amazing, thank you. And the next question, have you ever gave feedback to your colleagues as like on their performance and their job and their code something?
Yes, sure. It was yes, it was a couple of times, but actually it was anonymously, but during
have you given the direct feedback to colleague?
Not a colleague, but while I was involved in mentorship program, I was involved to give direct feedback to people. Yes, it was my experience.
Okay, so how do you ensure that your feedback stays constructive and doesn't demotivate the recipient?
So first of all, even all is bad, you have to note positive sides and positive like items in a person's activity. For example, for example, send links to PR. So that was great. That was good. That was amazing. But here there is a couple of items to improve. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So first of all, it should be constructive. Every single feedback, it's not easy, but I tried to do all feedbacks with links to GitHub, with links to different resources like MDN, and other things to show the person. So there is a way to do better, and maybe like motivate a person to think about his or her approach and creating conclusion that it should be, for example, better. Yes, obviously use only facts, use only existing situations, and also listen to person, maybe his or her thoughts on it. Maybe he or she had problems with something, with someone blocked him or her, because maybe it's not obvious from the first look, but it could be the situation. And after that, decide what to do.
Okay, thank you. That's actually a very great approach. I like it. Feedback is most, let's say, hard part of any interaction, as we will see a bit later. And our secret expert will demonstrate how to approach the constructive feedback. Yes, and now before we'll go to the next section, Alexey, I'll give you a little break. You can go and catch like a glass of water if you'd like, because right now would be a part which our regular watchers, guests know. very well, because right now will be I don't know, it's in English, like section, question from partner. And for those who are watching our streams first time, our interviews, right now I'll ask you a question. Very simple question. And we'll provide you with a link to the Google form where you can answer that question. And I remind you, answer in Google form, not in the stream chat. So if you answer this very simple question correctly, you'll have a chance to win a small but very cool prize from our today's partner, company Svitla. I don't know if I still need to call them Svitla Systems, because I know them as Svitla Systems, but company Svitla, as we can see on the screen. And for now, let me show you the question. So the very simple question: what was the name of the JavaScript before it was named JavaScript? So you can send your answers here. So you have a QR code right on your screen, and also, as usual, in the description under the video. So if you cannot see it here, please refresh the page, go to the link and give an answer to very simple question: what was the name of JavaScript before it became JavaScript? If you answer this question right, you'll get a chance to win a very cool prize from a company Svitla, which is a partner of today's stream. And let me remind you that today's expert is also from company Svitla, and he'll provide his very cool and constructive feedback to Олексій right after next section. So once again, you go to the link and answer the question: what was the name of JavaScript before it became JavaScript? Okay, so I'll hide in the question, trying to catch the fucking fly. So the last practical section. Alexei, please go to that text editor you opened before. So I can share your screen. Hop. Okay, so what is going now? So actually hide that thing. Yeah. What's going on? So now it would be a bit more practical task. It would be a very simple, very high level system design problem for Alexei to solve. So, Alexei, are you familiar with such experience, such stuff as system design?
Yes, sure. I had a couple of system designs in my practice, and all of them were different, actually, and maybe not the same system designs you can read about in internet. So every single system design is something unique. So we'll try.
Okay, so in our case, the very special thing about this system design is that it's very time limited. So we have a maximum of a half an hour. And okay. I'll start, you'll continue, and I'll remind you that you need to clarify what to do. Like, I'm pretending to be a very picky client, and imagine the situation that I came to you and I asked you to create a message editor. So let's imagine we have an application where you can type a message and send it somewhere. and I want to have a message editor with a few cool features. Let's say I want user to be able to attach a sticker, attach an image, or insert emoji in the text. Also, I want this message editor to have a limit of characters amount.
Okay. Okay, maybe let's start from the structure. And first of all, let's start with what I called general requirements.
Go on.
Okay, so what do you want to see? First of all, how it will look like. It will be like form, yes, editor.
Yeah. I want it to be a big input and button which I can click and send.
Okay, begin and the button. Okay, you need to be able to attach stickers and images. Yes.
Yes, and I want to send emojis. I can't see this feature without emojis.
Okay. Send emojis. Cool. Limit of characters. You want to have limit of characters, as far as I understood.
Yes.
Cool. Maybe something like formatting, bold text, underline text, maybe markdown support.
No, this is a very simple functionality, very simple app. I don't want any formatting here.
Okay. Maybe requirements for button icon should be configurable or not, or what should be on button, how it should react.
I want the user to be able to click it if there is something in the input field, and do not click it if the field is empty.
Okay. Nice. Clickable if something in input button is disabled when yes, but button is disabled when input is empty. Cool. Yeah, maybe something else with general requirements, or
That's all that comes to my mind. I want to have this message box. I want to type. I want to send emoji or custom sticker and send it to recipient, and that's it. I want it to be like implemented by the next Friday, because we have a big demo on some conference in Germany. That's how imaginary it is.
Cool. Okay, let's continue with functional requirements, I think.
Okay, great.
Requirements. Okay, first of all, maybe support wide range of devices like desktop, mobile, tablet.
Yes. I want my application to be run on any device you can imagine, even on the fridges.
Okay. Cool. At least then maybe configure maybe some maybe some configurations to this input, like custom CSS extensions, or custom CSS extensions, or callback function which will be provided, and action will be triggered when button is clicked?
I'm a client. I don't understand what you're talking. I want the message box by the next Friday.
Okay, maybe something configurable. You want to configure styles of your message editor?
No, we have a design of our application. We don't need to configure anything.
Okay, maybe another functional requirements accessibility.
Yeah. I heard that we need to implement the thing. I have no idea what it is, but I know that we can get a very big penalty if we don't do that.
Cool. Maybe some keyboard navigation.
What do you mean by that?
For example, maybe it's part of, yes, it's part of accessibility, obviously. So it's a keyboard navigation, and I will clarify it for you.
So anything that, if you say that this is accessibility part, okay, let's do it. But I remind you, I need it by the next Friday.
Okay. Okay. So overall, we have general requirements and a couple of functional requirements. Maybe you want something else. Something else in your editor. No voice input. No something like.
No. Simple. I want to quickly input the message and send it.
Cool. So these requirements are okay for you, and we can start, for example, with component architecture mockup, I think.
Okay, so now I'm changing the mask, the persona, and now I'm your technical manager some kind. So we need then to start the development phase. And what is your first technical steps would be here?
Okay, cool. So let's start with component architecture. Component architecture. So we need to identify key components of the product and how are they related with each other. So first of all, we will have input. Yes, input, and let's describe this input. This input will have bar with stickers, and emojis.
Okay.
Yes. Then obviously this input will have a button inside to attach image.
Okay.
Yes. Cool. Also, this input will have constraints. Will have constraints like limit of characters, and this limit of characters will be provided in this input like a configuration. Yes.
Sorry.
So from the general requirements, we have as a requirement we have limit of characters. Yes, have a limit of characters. This limit of characters, it's defined number, or it will be provided by config.
Yes, it's defined. It is defined.
How many characters?
Let's say 140.
Okay, nice. That's great. That's great.
This number just came to my mind. I believe that nobody thought of that. Never.
Cool. Also, this input will have placeholder. Placeholder in the corner, for example, with chars with characters count. For example, char of 140, something like that. Moreover, this input have placeholder when it's empty or not?
I don't know. That's for you to decide.
Okay. When input is empty. Placeholder when input is empty. Cool. So in input we have bar with stickers and emojis, button inside to attach an image, placeholder in the corner with chars count, a placeholder when input is empty. Input is empty and looks like that all related to a single input. Let's move to the button. Oh, something like that. Cool. Let's move to the button. In button, we will have, it's just button with icon. Button with icon. And two states. One state active. Let it be active when something inside input, and another state disabled when input is empty. Cool. So it's our like mini component architecture. Yes, these two components obviously will be placed in one container. And this container will handle different options. We'll have different options. Here we are going to like design data, how we will store data inside our component. Yes, it's like our message component wrapper. Maybe not wrapper, like container. Yes, and in this container we will have state for handling characters, chars. So when user will type something, we will add this characters to this state. Yes. Moreover, we will have state for files, state for images. So state for images, and also what we will what we will have here. State for handling chars, state for images. Here we will have a function to To what? To send no function which will be triggered once button is clicked. Once button is clicked, and let me okay. Trigger once button is clicked, and maybe that's it. It will be our container, and with this container we will handle these two components, like input and button, together. It will be our like a logic center, if we can name it, something like that.
Okay, great. So how would you handle images?
How I will handle images. Images, it will be you mean implementation, or like?
Yeah, we are talking about implementation. So I want this message editor to allow user to attach the images. How would you handle this action? So definitely I want user to see the image as a message.
Oh, that's great, and looks like we have to enhance input. So for example, if we will have images, if we will have choose images, below the text we will be able to see choose images.
Okay.
Have images. We will display them below the text. Below the text, yes, it will be array of or one file. Yes, we'll display them below the text. Cool. Yes. Yes. Maybe. No, we don't need another states here. So it looks like it's our component mockup. What? Yeah. Then what we can enhance here? For example, move to maybe some optimization.
Optimization of what?
Of, for example, this component.
But there is no component yet. What would you like to optimize?
Yeah. Maybe
what is the next logical what is the next logical step? So you define the requirements. What is the next logical step in this process?
Do the props design or data entries?
I think, yeah, that you should design the data.
Okay. Data entries design, data entry design, and here we will design which fields our elements like input button or component container will have, how we will store data, and which structures will be provided to the components. Yes, let's start, and let's start from for example, input. Yes. No. Let's start from. Oh, no space to draw. Okay, start from this message component container.
Let me give you a hint. You can start from defining the message object itself.
Okay, message object. This object will have obviously text string, for example. Text string. Then it will have images. It will be blob array or file array. It will have an maybe generated ID. Will be maybe useful. And basically that's it. It's our message object with 3 fields. Actually.
Okay, what else is important when you messaging someone?
Message object.
It's message object.
So it's like from user ID and to user ID. Chat ID.
At least, yes, you need to know the author.
From, it's like string from author ID, let it be string, and to author ID also will be string. Cool. Maybe.
Okay, what else is crucial to the messaging?
Chat ID, obviously.
Obviously. What else?
Chat ID. Message ID we have, text, images, from author ID to author ID. Maybe previous message ID, but
Why?
it maybe doesn't matter.
What for?
No. We can handle it. Date, obviously. Send date.
Timestamp, actually, yes.
Date. I saw string, for example.
Okay. Please take a look on your message object once again and tell me if you go to store this message object in database as such.
Oh, maybe send date. Its own ID, text, images. Obviously, no, images should be string array, and files will be, for example, on Amazon S3 or etc. And as images, we will have set of URLs here, or one URL.
Okay.
Maybe it will be better, and so obviously we are storing files in something like services like Cloudinary or Amazon.
Okay. Fine. What next?
What next? We have our message object. We constructed it, and then we have to define data entry, so like props to our or inputs to our input to button. Yes. for example, input props. Let's call it props. Let's call it props, and input props we will have like text and images. Obviously string, images, string. That's it. And images will be optional. Related to button props. Button props could be, for example, an icon. Oh no, we will have defined icon. We'll have defined icon just on click callback, and on click callback. Yes. Void and click this callback will be fired when button when button will be clicked, obviously. That's what we want from button, something like that. And then we have to describe maybe data flow from component container to this input and button.
If you make it in the 1 minute, let's do it. If not, let's wrap it.
Well, let's try. Like, okay, message component container, message component container, and input like text, images to button. Here we will have like on click. With on click we will pass text, string, and images, string, array. That will be our callback. And we will pass somehow this in button. Yes, if we hadn't draw UI, I would draw it, but looks like it will our structure our structure of component inside container, something like that.
Okay, great. So let's wrap it now, and this is a time when I go to the backstage, and my place will take our expert, which will provide feedback to Олексій. And expert, are you ready? We need to wait a second. Yeah, so I see him unmuted. Turn on your camera, please. Okay, great. So, for the next section, for the feedback part, I'm thrilled to introduce to you the secret expert from the company Svitla. I remind you that Svitla is a partner of today's stream, today's interview, and remind you to not forget to answer the question and get a chance to win a cool gift from company Svitla. But today, our secret guest, our secret expert is very, very special, because today our expert is from Mexico. So let me invite to this stage Alberto Campos. Hi, Alberto.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Sergi.
Hello.
Hi, Alexei.
Yeah.
Thank you for
So,
inviting me.
stage is yours. I'm going to the backstage. Please give your most honest and most brutal feedback for our today's guest, Oleksiy, but not be too brutal and too honest.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you for inviting me, and hello to all the YouTube viewers.
Hello.
So first, I'm going to introduce myself. As Sergi said, I'm Alberto Campos, and I'm from Mexico, and I'm currently working for Svitla Systems. I've been doing software engineer for like 9 years. So now I have some feedback for you. So the approach of this feedback will be, I will tell you what I think you did great. Then I will tell you what I think you can get better, you can improve. And also I tell you what I think that is very important to take into consideration in the different questions and the different approaches you take during the interview. Okay?
Yeah.
Great. So for the first question, I think that you did great on the project assessment part. You demonstrate a solid approach by evaluating whether the project is a production or not, or what do you need to know about the project before starting. I think that is great. You need to know and understand your project. Then you did a lot of emphasis on testing. I think this is very important, and sometimes you don't see a lot of testing in the companies, even if they are like big companies. And this is a very big problem that you need to understand, and you need to know that tests are really important. So I think that talking about testing, it's great from you. And also you talk about modern practices like CI and CD, and having this type of controls that will help you to create this type of migration from a legacy project to a new framework. And I think I agree with you. Then I think some things that you can improve is, for example, you talk about creating a new repository. And I think this is not completely needed, because you already have a repository. You can create a branch strategy in which you can start migrating your legacy project to the new framework by using some features or feature flags or any other strategy that you decide at the end. I think this is like the correct approach. Sometimes maybe you have to change all the project, as you mentioned. Maybe it's worth to change for a new repository, but it's not always the best. You know, you have to decide. And in most scenarios, you don't need to change your repository, because you are start to migrate gradually. It's not something that you change from one day to another. So any other thing, great. Then I will tell you some points I think that are crucial when talking about migration from a legacy project. And the first one is, as you mentioned, assessment and understanding the project. What you are going to change, what are the current states of your project, and what are the results expect. Then with this in mind, you have to define your objectives and know where you want to be in a near future. And then decide if you are going to do an incremental or a complete rewrite, as the question states. And I think this is the most important things that you need to consider. And then once you have these strategies and you have this path, you start with your migration. Of course, you will face some roadblocks, some challenges, but you need to overcome in the correct phases. So I think you did great, and I think you have a small area of improvement, but overall, I think you had a great idea about what you reply. Then we talk about how you will organize the technologies into the project to minimize risk and avoid breaking the current functionality. So some things that I think you did great is that you talk about a collaborative approach in which you involve the whole team and all the development team to evaluate the new technologies and ensure that you have different perspectives and you have a collective knowledge in order to do a great job. Also, I think you have a great structured decision making, because you talk about creating tables, creating boards, and have consensus about how to create these new migrations, how to create these new things, avoiding breaking what we have already. So I think this is great. Also, again, talking about QA, it's really important. QA as an entity and QA as an adding testings to what you are doing. This is great. What I think you can do better, what I think you can improve, is that also you can have how you are going to manage the deprecation of the old modules. Also, you talk about user feedback, and I think this is great, but you need to define how are you going to give these new functionalities to the users, to what percentage of users, and how you are going to present these strategies. If you are going to do A/B testing, or if you are going to do feature flags. So maybe it's just like decide how you are going to present these strategies to the final users. And also you need to find a methodology to assess the risk of changing anything within your project, to know what are the risks of migrating from this version to that version, what are the breaking changes, what are the trade-offs, and how I'm going to try to do this job without breaking anything, and in the best, smooth, and easy way. And what I think is very important in this phase is the same as in the previous question: assess and plan. You always need to know where you are and plan what you want to do. Then you can create a proof of concept in which you try in a smaller scale the same libraries or the same frameworks or the same technology that you are going to use or you are going to migrate, to know how it works and how it works together with some other version that you maybe already have. So with this proof of concept, you have a better idea and better understanding of how this will work together before changing the things in your current project. So this always helps, and this always gives you a better idea and a wider understanding of what you're doing. So I think this is something that you can also have in mind. And of course, keep doing testing. All type of testing is great. Then let's go to question 3. And it was about how do you make sure a system scale and it stays easy to maintain and is flexible, and it's about flexibility and scalability. So I think you talk about that it's important to review the existing code base and enhance the current maintainability. I think this is great. You need to, as always, I've said, you need to know where you are. Then you talk about performance optimization and how we are going to improve the performance. We are going to how we can have most optimized code for better efficiency. I completely agree. Then you talk about having a scalable architecture and having automation and infrastructure. So you talk about having GitHub actions or automate your workflows, and also you talk a little bit about using monorepos with mini apps or mini services. I think this is a great approach, but always if you state this from the beginning. So this is something that you need to assess and see, okay, I know this technology or these new ways of doing things are great, but this is what I really need. This is what it will help my project. Does my project get better if I use the best technologies and the newer things? So these things, you need to assess them. And sometimes you need to sacrifice the technical side in pro of the product, because the product is always the most important thing. You need to ensure that your product is working as smooth and efficiently as it can. And of course, this is part of the things that you need to take into consideration. Now let's jump in. Let's do quicker because we're running out of time. But let me go to what I think you did great in the other questions. Okay, when you talk about ensuring code quality on the code reviews, I think that you talk about that we need to recognize and reduce the human errors. So you talk about how we can recognize the human errors and learn how to continuously improve our code quality by trying to reduce the human error. I think this is correct. Also, you talk about collaborating with QA. So again, it's great that you're always taking into consideration QA and testing. And also you talk about early issue detection. So it's better to find or catch issues before they happen in greater environments. So if you catch it in locally or in dev environments, this is always great. So this is great. Things that you can do better is just have a structured code reviews, have a layout, have something that you always will repeat, and maybe have some automated testing. Then when you talk about a situation where you take ownership over a feature and how you did solve it, you talk about the initiative to create MVPs for another client and how did you were attached to that project, how you assist other team members and help them to get this job done. And also there is something I think you can improve, because when it came to the question of how did you feel challenged, maybe you were not so clear in that moment that what was the biggest challenge in here. So it's something that you need to have in mind, because when you face this type of interviews, this is a very common question. So you need to have in mind, what is the biggest challenge I have ever solved and how did I do it? And also take in consideration the technical aspects, but also the soft skill aspects and how your leadership and your technical knowledge help you to solve and overcome this situation. So right here. And about communication, I think you did a great job. You always think about the whole team. The only thing I think that you can improve is that not all the team members are developers. So you need to know how to communicate within the developers, within technical managers, with the project managers, with the other stakeholders like the product owners, and even to the final users. You need to have a vocabulary different, and you need to do different. You need to find different approach to communicate to different team members. So it's not you don't have to think always about developers, but also the whole crew. And yeah, most of the end, I think that you didn't have so clear about someone challenging a decision of yours, and this is the same as just mentioned before. You have to think about when you were challenged by another team member, when your decisions were challenged, and how you take this. If you take it as a positive, as a negative, how did you embrace this type of feedbacks? And at the end, you talk about feedback and how do you provide feedback to your colleagues. And I completely agree with you. You need to be constructive. You need to reinforce what your teammates did well, but also you have to find things in which your teammates or whoever you are giving feedback to can do better. Always constructive. You never do you are bad in this, or this is not correct, but always is like, okay, you did this is great, but you can do better. You can use this tool, you can use this technique, and you will be even better. So it's always about trying to get better all collectively. So I completely agree with you in this approach. And just let's go to the final exercise. I think you get a little bit nervous. It's always correct. No worries. I understand you. But I will tell you what I think that you need to take into consideration in this type of design systems. So the first part was great. You gather requirements, you ask for the client expectation, and then you started to write them down. So you start to create it. Okay, and this need to do that, this need to be like this will need support that, this will need adapt to those screen sizes of those devices. I think this is always great. You need to gather the most information you can. So great there. Then I think that you were like kind of doubtful when asking questions to Sergey when he was in the client side. So maybe it's just trying to have more concise and more easy to understand and no questions, but statements. So, okay, so your component or what you want will be a component with a text box and a button. And also we have another button with a file upload or this, and we'll have an emoji and sticker maker. You are giving a statement, but you're not asking, because sometimes when you ask questions about what you're doing, maybe the client can think maybe he doesn't know what he's doing, or also you can open the gate for making the scope greater than it was at the beginning. So it's just like using statements instead of using questions. And at the end is great what you did. You have your component, you start to think about what components do I need? I need a container, I need an input, I need a button, I need a file uploader, I need emoji picker, a sticker picker. You start to create a diagram of all the components that you need for the exercise. And also it was a great exercise to adding the data types, to adding the props that you will receive, because that will give you a better understanding of what you need. I think that other thing that is very useful in these scenarios is to create technical documents in which you start to write all your ideas, you start to write your diagrams, you start to document and write what is expected in this task or in this component, what is not expected, what we can call goals and anti-goals, and also what will be your first approach to create this component. You know, it's not always the first approach. Maybe your first approach will not be the better, but it's written. And then before you start working, you can navigate over your ideas to choose the best solution. Overall, I think you did great. There are small things in which you can improve. And also, a last thing is that I like your approach on always thinking about users and accessibility. Sometimes we don't think about accessibility but then it's too late. So it's always to think always about accessibility first, because there are a lot of users that relies on some accessibility tools like screen readers or using just keyboards. So I like that you always think about accessibility. So in general terms, I think you did a great job. I think, of course, you have some improvements. You have there are some things that you can do better, but you are in the right path.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this constructive and huge
feedback. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Alberto. That was impressive feedback. Yeah. So I'll hide you to the backstage, but don't go too far.
Sure.
Okay. Олексій,
yeah.
Say something. It looks like your microphone is off.
No, all is okay. Looks like all is okay.
Okay. Okay, so very, very, very short feedback from me, because that's not my primary function here, but I also want to say a few words. So in general, I agree with Alberto. You did well, let's say very well, as taking into account all the things like you've been nervous, this is be online, public, and so on. So yes, at some questions you've answered in a way I expected a bit different approach to the answer, but in the end you answered them. but not the way I expected. Yeah, because I feel that you have the needed experience related to each question, but for some occasions you weren't able to properly tell about that experience. Probably you not completely understood the question, or probably I formulated that question in like wrong way. But in the end, you answered for all questions. Yeah, but there is always a room for improvement. I agree with Alberto, but you did amazing. And regarding the like system design task, I would like to remind our audience that this is very high level and very like time limited task, and Alexei wasn't able to like cover everything, especially what you think about while sitting in the chat, and he didn't sitting before the camera. But anyway, probably the only thing I would like to say about the system design that I expected for you to start designing data shapes right after the requirements and before the thinking of implementation. So I think personally, I think that it is much better to define the contracts beforehand, like define the APIs, and then start to think about the components and UI. Other than that, that was good. I was really flattered by your approach to requirements. You asked great questions. Your proposal of accessibility feature was actually something that I didn't expect, but was it was very good from from your side to think about accessibility. Yeah, that's amazing. So in general, that was great. That was great. So you probably need not a bit more practice with interview itself than with your experience, because you have this experience. You just need to practice to project this experience to the interviewer.
Yeah, we'll work on it, definitely.
So thank you for joining me today in this risky endeavor, because each time I'm saying something, I just I'm balancing between very posh and complex words, meantime forgetting very simple words. Yeah. So before my final section, I would like you to take a stage for a few seconds and tell us about your thoughts about today's stream, how we feel, what's your experience.
Thank you very much, Sergey, for this back thing. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks, Alberto, again. I think it's amazing experience for me. Interviewing in English, it's just great. Interesting. It was interesting to test myself how I will answer, how I will deal with it, and camera is watching on me. But overall positive emotions, even charge inside me, after this interview. Definitely great experience. I will tell my friends and share the link, obviously. So thank you very much for this format. I think this format is great. I thought I would answer maybe in worse way, but somehow I answered well as for your experience, for your feedback. So thank you very much. It was great.
Yeah, one of the key points actually that our audience noticed as well, it is how calm and focused was you during the interview. Yeah, when we get to the system design, you started to be a bit nervous, but when we talked like with questions, yeah, you've been like very calm, like a stone, and that's very cool thing to do at any interview. Okay, great. So let me hide you to the backstage. And that's it. That's a wrap. So I would like to remind my dear audience, to you, my watchers, about those who we should be grateful today for this opportunity to gather together this evening and being able to watch, to participate in this stream. And definitely I'm talking about our Ukrainian armed forces, about our defenders who allow us to spend this time together in such a manner. So everything that is left for me to say is to be nice, donate for Ukrainian army, and bye-bye.